Check, check. Hey, everybody. I'm back. Justin will be here in just a bit. Stu Myrick, Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. On the horn. Took a little bit of a break last week. Let me turn down Ted DiBiase. He is about to coronate his new $1 million champion, L.A. Knight, the man formerly known as Eli Drake. And, So, took a little bit of break last week as I was attending Lost Pines Scout Reservation Summer Camp, the Boy Scouts of America Scouts BSA program, for my 28th year out there, 20th year as what they call a camp commissioner, which is kind of like a volunteer staffer, works with the troops, the Boy Scouts, the scout leaders, and camp management. So it was a lot of fun, especially considering that we missed it, or we couldn't do it last year due to COVID-19 last summer. Well, we couldn't do it then. We had to go virtual, so it was great to be out in the outdoors, in person, seeing everybody have fun, and it really was. It was exactly that. So, huge thanks to all the scouts and scouters and staff and everybody. And thanks to you for bearing with us. I hope you enjoyed the flashback episode as we took a look at the visits we've had with Jake the Snake Roberts, coming off the Dark Side of the Ring episode from it was the previous Sunday. So hope you enjoyed those. Everything is, it looks like we haven't missed much. WWE is definitely on, wash, rinse, repeat kind of. And I hate to say this, but it's starting to get into SmackDown a little bit. We're seeing a little bit of the same stuff. It's still a good show. They still got good, what am I thinking? They got good storylines, but, Raw definitely was. In fact, I obviously did not watch Raw last Monday because, at camp, and didn't have a way to watch it, but it looks like I didn't miss anything. So, and it looks like it was the same thing this week. So we will take a look at Hell in a Cell, which is coming up this Sunday. They've got 5 matches right now. Obviously, we'll see if they book 1 or 2 more on SmackDown Friday night on Fox. It is what it is. It is kind of cool. I will give them credit. 4 of the matches will involve the top singles program titles. So the WWE Championship, the Universal Championship, the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships will all be contested on this pay-per-view. And both the WWE Championship and Universal Championship will be in Hell in a Cell. So that will be interesting. It's, it is what it is. I did get to see NXT TakeOver in your house on this past Sunday. Good show as always. They always do a really good job. No titles change hands. We did get a new champion, as we are hearing now, and I'm going to turn this up just a hair so I can hear. L.A. Knight, the man formerly known as Eli Drake, defeated Cameron Grimes in a ladder match and claimed the $1 million championship. Ted DiBiase, the Hall of Famer, bringing back his belt. And I think this is only the 3rd person not named Ted DiBiase to hold that belt. You had Virgil. Who else? You had somebody else, and I saw the list, and now L.A. Knight. So There's only been 5 champions. Which it's not a. And then they treat it as a big deal, but let's remember it's not. I don't think it's necessarily I guess a sanctioned. This is kind of like when TNA was doing the when Impact brought out the TNA title and Moose was wearing it for all that time without it being without a. I guess it wasn't recognized. Now it's recognized, and of course now it's around the waist of Kenny Omega, as is the Impact championship and the AEW championship. So, by the way, I'm texting our dear friend, the Natural, Dustin Rhodes. So we are making the arrangements. There will be a second Rhodes Wrestling Academy showcase. It will premiere on YouTube on July 24th. That is the schedule right now, and I am truly honored to once again provide the voice. So we're making the arrangements, taping, and all that good stuff. So that'll be a lot of fun coming up in the latter half of July. So we'll talk some Hell in a Cell. We'll talk some NXT TakeOver. Ooh, LA Knight punches the Hall of Famer, Ted DiBiase. I don't know if maybe this is his rejection of the Okay. He's still going to hold on to the belt, but for some reason he decided just to punch Ted DiBiase. Which is, and now, he's taking off his jacket. LA Knight taking off the jacket, taking off the watch, and we're putting the boots to the $1 Million Man. Or, if you go back as far as I did, the leader of that dastardly Rat Pack. And here comes Cameron Grimes in for the save. Clothesline, second clothesline, third clothesline and clotheslines LA Knight. I almost called him Eli Drake. And now Cameron Grimes checking on Ted DiBiase. Which, by the way, I finally remembered, or got reminded, he was Trevor Lee. It was taking me forever to figure out, trying to remember what he went by. But Impact Wrestling put on their YouTube channel the match that they had in Impact. It was Eli Drake versus Trevor Lee. So I'm getting all my names. Trevor Lee, now known as Cameron Grimes, taking on Eli Drake, now known as LA Knight. So there we go. So anyway. So I guess so yeah, it's all hell's breaking loose. If you saw NXT TakeOver, you saw at the very end a sullen William Regal talking about maybe it's time for a change, and so everybody thought William Regal is going to step down as GM, and we might get a new GM. Of course, that was the worst kept secret. Well, not quite. He was about to step down. Here comes Karrion Kross, and we'll talk about this. Karrion Kross and Scarlett there to make Regal, trying to coerce Mr. Regal to proclaim that indeed he is in over his head. But then the music hit, and we heard all the rumblings. I think I even heard them last week Sure enough, back in the family, back in NXT, Samoa Joe. And now Samoa Joe, apparently, so Regal wanted Samoa Joe to be the new GM. Samoa Joe turned it down, but gave him a counter proposal. Regal stays GM. Joe is going to be, he didn't use these words, but basically he's going to be an enforcer. You know, and Regal said, look, you know, 2 conditions. You cannot compete. You're not a competitor. And also you cannot touch the wrestlers, pregnant pause, unless they provoke you. Sure enough, we saw a thing backstage. Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly are brawling. William Regal is trying to separate them, says they're going to do a unsanctioned match at Great American Bash. And then they go at it again. Samoa Joe jumps in and puts Adam Cole to sleep. And there he is, 2 weeks, sporting the Austin FC hat. Because after all, Austin FC gets they finally come home.
Are you going?
I am going. I got my media credential approved. I am going to be in the press box at Q2 Stadium this Saturday when Austin FC takes on San Jose. The Earthquakes, or the Quakes. I think they just call them the Quakes.
It works either way.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
How are you?
I actually could use your help answering a question.
Okay. What is that?
And I don't mind sharing this with our viewers.
I was going to say, yeah, sharing with, you know.
No. It's just personal. I don't mind, though. I think it's kind of funny to get everybody's input on
Okay.
this type of things because,
All
like,
right.
you know, I feel like after years of doing this show, they kind of know us.
I would hope
point.
so.
Yeah. So you know how I do the Club Deportes thing?
Yes. You do the on YouTube, Club Deportes.
It's
with
okay.
yourself, and you do a fine job
But
bringing on different guests.
I'm not like always a huge fan of doing it. So we got into like a bit of I wouldn't say like argument, but like a squabble.
Okay.
Like, you know, try like a
Difference of opinion.
Exactly. And you know how I can get.
Yes, I do.
Right. So I was like, I walk out of there on Sunday thinking like, oh, I'm probably not going to be doing this anymore. And I'm okay with that. But
Yeah.
then I get a text saying like, hey, you want to show up for the women's game because our credentials were okayed.
For the U.S. women's national team.
Yes, for tomorrow.
Right.
So I'm thinking to myself, I'm not doing anything. And I'm like,
Might
I don't
as
have to commit. And I've already put in like the few months of work already into the show, regardless if I want to do it again. It's
Right.
like I guess I kind of earned this one.
To see the team that will likely leave Tokyo with the gold.
Yeah, and to see the first event there.
First event at Q2 Stadium.
I was like, you know, I think I should be able to at least show up and just be like, hey, you know, whatever happens Sunday, Sunday. But I still just don't want to do the show.
Well, and you're kind of recognized as the soccer expert around here. With all due respect to Glenn Davis and others.
I appreciate that, but the pool was pretty shallow, and then it just got filled with more people.
Well,
everybody, you knew it, but that was going to be natural. That's natural.
Well, yeah, it's the first again, like you mentioned, the very first event at Q2 Stadium.
But I guess I should be able to put my pride aside one more time and just say yes. I mean, or am I just overthinking it?
No, do it, because if for no other reason. You're there as a member of the media, so you're there. There's going to be other media people. Okay, that's a commercial.
Yeah. It did look like it was going to be somebody's intro.
Hold it. Why is my thing showing like it's
that was cool though.
That was kind of neat.
You think it was somebody's?
It might be. Okay, let's
like
see.
A teaser.
It may be. Yeah, I bet you it was. But anyway, so. Yes, because if for no other reason, there are likely going to be media members who have not been to Austin before, and people that you can connect with. That is one of the primary reasons I do a lot of the things I do with the Cowboys and Super Bowl. So, I make connections. I've got connections all over the country.
So you guys are seeing it right now. So, I mean, I can just text them back right now and be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
What time are you going to be there?
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
So,
all right.
it's, it's like I said, look, I do enjoy providing the content that gets heard on the horn and everything, but at the same time, I now have
Well, that and
colleagues,
honestly,
at least acquaintances and even a few friends
yeah.
that work all over the country.
And I mean, I am vaccinated now. Like my arm was in pain like all since like last Thursday, but like now it's like pretty good. So
Okay. See?
And
did you feel anything else besides the shoulder pain?
I think I was one of the lucky ones that just felt genuinely tired and
Okay.
not sick. Like I didn't have a cough. I didn't have like a
Right.
sore throat.
This
runny
was shot
nose.
1 or 2?
This was the second one.
The second one of
The-
Pfizer or Moderna?
Moderna.
Moderna, okay.
Yeah. So
right.
I mean, like I think I might have been having like the chills maybe one night because we had the air conditioner on pretty cold, and it
Yes.
gets and it could be cold in my room because the vent.
Is
Pretty
right
close.
on you.
Yeah, and
Yes.
perfect
And
for
unlike-
summertime.
Unlike me, you are not that warm-blooded.
No, man. So, perfect for summertime regardless. But I'm like, oh man, that night it was just like 'cause
Yeah.
the arm, like I still had like a bruise like
Right.
4 days later, but like it just ached that whole night. Like you could feel it hurt,
Well, I mean,
or at least me.
both of my shots, and I had Pfizer. Both of them, it was the same thing. It was shoulder. It was soreness in the injection site, which would have been my left shoulder.
How about your underarm?
No,
I
not
felt
really.
like a little sore here, but like definitely.
It was
on
just.
this
It was
area.
basically around the shoulder. It lasted about, I'd say, 18 to 24 hours. So like I went to sleep. It was still a little sore. When I woke up the next morning, it wasn't quite as sore, and by midday, it was pretty much gone. I didn't. Now, and I was lucky. I didn't notice like sick, tired, whatever. So as far as I know, the only thing I had was the sore shoulder, both times, and both times it lasted about a day, and then that was it.
Wow. I was like, mine lasted like 3.
So,
So
well,
you're
but
lucky.
even then, if it's primary the soreness,
Yeah, but no sickness. I'll take
right?
that over that.
Hey, that's.
I
I mean,
heard
I've
the
had
hor-
that. I've had that with flu shots. So
Yeah, I had 2. That's why I was like, oh, I got sick last time I
Yeah.
got a flu shot, and like I got the flu basically. I was like, I don't want to get like.
and because of some of the requirements of my career, I had to get the flu shots.
Yeah.
So, and I don't have to now, but I do it every year just because hey, it's smart.
Well, you're helping
So-
somebody else out too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so we'll talk some Hell in a Cell. We'll talk some NXT TakeOver. Got a few other little nuggets. There's not a whole lot of Hell in a Cell to talk about, but we'll
There's
see.
tons, dude, tons. Oh,
I know you'll make it. You will exhibit your verbosity.
verbosity.
Is that a word?
I'm
Is
not
that even a
sure.
word?
Sounds-
Verbosity.
Verbosity.
I know verbose.
It sounds preposterous.
Oh.
That's-
Hopefully it's not disastrous.
Unless it's the natural disasters.
Unless it's the natural disasters.
I was gonna
That's
say-
right. God bless John Tenta.
Oh, so you know what? No, never mind. I'll just do it myself. I keep on forgetting that when we podcast it, I can pull it from the podcast and on YouTube.
Yes. And on
Because-
Twitch.
Yeah, I'm gonna just make. You think you can challenge me each week with something that's and it shouldn't be that hard, right? With something that WWE does in storyline wise that doesn't make any sense, and you force me to defend it like we normally do. But that
I was going
way,
to say that. That's what we do every week.
I know, but I feel like I need
and
to
you
cut
try
that
to
out.
defend it, and you do a
I kn-
valiant job.
I know, but now
I don't buy. I don't buy a single letter of it.
I don't
most of the
either,
time.
but I think that's as close as I could possibly ever get to being what's his name? Shannon Sharp and the guy that used to be with Stephen A. Skip. I don't want to be like Skip.
Don't
But-
please.
but
Skip
it-
Bayless
but
is the
some
bane
of
of
those
my
things-
existence.
But some of those things actually do make sense. And I was like, maybe, you know what? Maybe I'm
Well,
just going
and
to have to
there-
be like the
and there-
WWE defender on like
and
YouTube.
There is the generational thing, So I mean, hey, you knock yourself out. So
You're like, give it a shot of you.
I
Yeah.
think the 11-time Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion sported our colors during a promo recently.
Yeah, that's why.
It was,
not too long ago.
Was it leading up to 18th anniversary?
Yeah.
I think so. They were going to have a match. So anyway, it was Ring of Honor 500. because Mark was going to wrestle Jay.
That's right. Man.
So yeah.
How was camp?
It was good. I was saying earlier, it was funny that we run multiple weeks and in different group each week. First week is always out. This first week was probably one of the smoothest first weeks I've had in my almost 30 years there.
Nice.
20 as a staffer. I think part of it was the simple fact that everybody was just glad to be out.
I guess that's what it was going to be. Nobody was really like, we got so used to waiting for things because you got stuck inside houses and stuff.
And we missed it last year. COVID canceled it. We had to go virtual. So I think a lot of people realized how special it is. And look, I've been a Boy Scout most of my life. I've done between youth and adult. I have been to a Boy Scout summer camp over the course of 35 summers.
Sunrise, sunset.
Yes.
Sunset,
and
sunrise.
So, like me, it means a lot. And there were times I was like, I would just stand there. I mean, it could be something, the most mundane thing about camp. Like, singing a song that I've heard 40,000 times.
Or the smell of the firewood.
When we did Friday night campfire, we did our closing campfire.
The smell of the mosquito repellent.
That kind of, it was that you had to stop for a moment and say, damn, I miss this. For those of us that do it and love it and we understand how it fits. So I was extremely glad to be out there.
But that can also go for those people that are not necessarily with Boy Scouts, but those that just enjoy nature and the outdoors themselves.
Yes,
because it kind of, I think Boy Scouts really incorporates.
One of the things
incorporates.
Incorporates. Yes. One of the things that we did notice is because that area of camp, for the better part of the last year and a half, has not been very heavily used.
Yes.
Has almost not been used. There's a couple of times here and there. So it's kind of like the critters in nature kind of figured, hey, there's no people. Let's go out and play.
Yeah.
And when we came back, they were still playing.
Yeah,
Like one evening, we're sitting in our area, our little campsite area, drinking some tea and kind of just thinking about the day. And I look over, there's a back trail that goes goes between our swimming pool and the backside of our site. And all of a sudden, there goes a bobcat. Just traipsing through like, no big deal.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we got bobcats. And I think we'd heard there was like a family of bobcats living somewhere on camp. Saw a few more snakes than usual.
So you guys are all just cool with that, though?
Well,
this is why I don't go
camping.
It's one of those
things. It's one of the, as long as and it was from a distance, but it wasn't like I wasn't going to run up and try to pet it. It's kind of like if I don't bother them, they won't bother us.
True, but I wouldn't want you to do that without TikTok or something.
I was a little afraid that like if I go out of this area for a little bit, I'd come back and find my stuff shredded or something. But it didn't happen. So it was good. It was very good.
I don't know. I'd just be scared for like an attack at night. Like what? You start sleeping with one eye open or something?
That's true. I'm the crazy one that I leave my tent flaps open because I like to, when we do get a breeze.
I was like the ventilation.
Because by the way, oh my God, I forgot how much I sweat during summer camp.
Oh man, that sounds.
Especially as the week went on, the heat indexes, it's so humid. Oh God, yes. Oh yeah. So. All right, so let's see what kind of radio magic we can muster.
This is Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling.
When they're not covering the sports world, they're talking about the world of professional wrestling.
It's Sports Guys Talking Wrestling.
Now with Justin Simmons, here's Stu Myrick.
It is Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the Horn. Stu Myrick, Justin the Smash Simmons, back after a week break where I was communing with nature and 240 Boy Scouts, some of them girls, and their leaders. How are you? It's good to see you again.
I'm doing all right.
What did you do last week?
What did I do? Oh man, I drank a lot.
Well, hey, there you go.
I mean, like, I was on vacation.
You were.
Essentially, as much
were.
as one vacation can vacation.
Yeah.
Especially with the busy schedule that we'll have coming up soon.
And I hope everybody enjoyed our flashback on Jake the Snake Roberts last week. It was really fun to listen back to those interviews.
It's cool
you
just to
can
remember
hear-
that we got those interviews.
Yeah, you could hear in the first one especially, you could hear how
When you,
I was probably a little starstruck.
yeah,
And I did play the clip. And if you didn't hear it, I did play the clip when Diamond Dallas Page brought Jake on by phone by surprise. So that was neat. But it was really good to listen to him and thinking about when you see him today in AEW working with Lance Archer. It's just so good to see him in the business, doing what he does best, providing his wisdom and his insight to not only Lance but a lot of the wrestlers in AEW. Lance mentioned about how Jake would help him tweak promos and stuff. So
yeah, and obviously coming from the Snake, he's one of the best
at
the little things, the intangibles of his
Yes.
promos and his psychology. And obviously, if you've been watching the Dark Side of the Ring series, when some people just learning that portion of his life and now understanding like maybe why he was dealing with some of those demons that you just kind of associated growing up is just like, oh, that's just the wrestling lifestyle. That's just how those guys are, because they had a bad stereotype at the time.
Well, and it was quite frankly, I mean, you and I know Sam Houston personally.
Yeah.
We've hung out with him, at the Hall of Fame or whatever. And again, it's kind of one of those things where we knew a few of the stories, but to shed that kind of light on it was forgive the term, enlightening, and it made you appreciate all the more, what Jake and Sam and Robin gave to the wrestling business. So
yeah, and I don't mean to go super deep, but it also just goes to show you just never know what somebody may be dealing with outside of like maybe work stuff or where you might know them from, because you don't know the whole story until you really get to know somebody. But considering that episode and all the other episodes of season 3, I have to say this season was rather dark.
It has been. Now, I have not seen the Dynamite Kid one.
Awesomely dark.
I'm sure it is.
But it's good.
Again, it's because I've heard some of the stories, so that one goes dark. I would say probably, for lack of a better term, the most lighthearted one was probably the Collision in Korea.
Yeah,
so
but
far.
there were some really dark moments.
Even
Considering
then, yes, Scorpio
people
Kai
almost died.
or
He admits it. Scorpio Sky was looking to get
not Scorpio Sky, Too Cold Scorpio.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Yeah, sorry, Scorp. Too Cold Scorpio wanting to kill Scott Flash Norton.
His words. Happy birthday, Scott Flash Norton. By the way,
Yes.
since we record this on a Tuesday.
Yes,
On a Tuesday.
So, is
Perfect
there you go. He's drinking already. That sparkling water.
Yeah.
All right. So, and I need to watch apparently the latest episode of what was it? Most
Treasure?
Wanted Treasures
Uh-huh.
on A&E involved at least one good friend, Mark Henry,
Yeah.
and Paul White, also known as the Big Show, as they were looking for some of Andre the Giant's
Yeah.
items. I want to see that because that is some serious wrestling history there. Being conducted by two of the biggest men in pro wrestling. So and that's one of the great things I'm looking forward to when AEW comes to Cedar Park is meeting Paul White and of course seeing Mark and
Scorpio Sky.
And seeing Scorpio Sky. We love Sky. Sky is part of the circus fam.
I would like
as
to
we
meet Chris
say.
Jericho this time, if possible, because I
We
didn't
need
meet him last time.
We need to find a way.
I'll even wear my own leather vest because I have one.
Okay. All right.
Maybe I'll get like an inner circle patch or something.
All right. So let's start out. We do have a WWE event coming up this Sunday. It is Hell in a Cell. It's kind of funny because I did look. This event happened in October. So we're coming at this a little sooner than usual.
But this one will probably have a crowd.
No, this
crowd
one was
still?
no crowd still. I think they're
Wow.
saving the crowd for when they go back on the road in July. And so this one is still going to be in the Thunderdome at the Yuengling Center in Tampa on the campus of University of South Florida. By the way, how about my Longhorns? 2 and off to Omaha.
Oh, you're talking about baseball.
The 37th appearance in the College World Series, the most by any school.
That's what I heard.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to the Longhorns.
Hell in a Cell this Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on Peacock if you're here in the United States, on WWE Network if you're elsewhere around the world. They are going to do a pre-show. We do not know. We have not heard about a pre-show match. They haven't been announcing pre-show matches until like the day before. So
Does it make me sound like a bad guy? I mean, I understand talent needs work, needs to get paid, but a lot of these guys are on contract now. But do we really need a pre-show at this day and age now? Especially for like these type of pay-per-views?
Well, I think it's, what you and I have talked about. WWE has become a content creator. It's kind of like what we hear Jordan and Eddie talk about on Fight Night about UFC. UFC's become a content creator. WWE's the same way, especially now that they have tied themselves to Peacock and NBC Universal.
Oh yeah, easily. And I can't fault them for that because that's just being
Right.
one step ahead of the game. They've always been 1 or 2 steps ahead of the whole production and what's going to be the next big way to broadcast stuff.
Right.
And they've always been
It's
good
just
at that.
the pre-show has never been much.
Yeah, they always they touted it as something really good. Now I liked it when it was Sunday Night Heat.
Yes.
Like for some reason that worked for me, but I don't really care for how they do like a pre-show the way they do it now.
Well, and the matches, and we've even been, as much as told on a few occasions that the pre-show matches don't count.
Yeah, that has been true too.
Survivor Series.
That one's hard to defend.
So it's kind of like, I mean, they do it. They've done it for however many years, So it's kind of like, all right, whatever.
I get WrestleMania because it's just like it's your biggest show, so you need a pre-show for the big show
Yes,
because it's that big.
and it's 2 hours. It's your biggest pre-show. Look,
But that's
people
what they do for the
complain
Super
about.
Bowl.
I was going to say everybody complains about the pregame for the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl is it's the Super Bowl. Right now there are 5 matches scheduled.
All of the rematches?
Well, no. Well, most of them. Well, I'm trying to
Except for
think.
maybe one, maybe?
I'm trying to think. We have seen some form of them. One of them we may not have seen yet, but and we expect at least 1 or 2 possibly being announced on SmackDown on Friday night on Fox. But here's the card as it stands now. And this is where you and I, before we went on the air, this is where you and I are talking about how you're going to be the WWE defender. This one you need to defend. This is the one you need to defend because even to this moment, I'm still not sold on this. But
yeah,
Alexa Bliss versus Shayna Basler, and apparently Shayna Basler. Or Alexa Bliss's doll,
yes,
Lily,
yes,
who oh by the way is magical or whatever.
Yep.
Apparently does not like Shayna Basler.
No.
And it has gotten to where Shayna Basler is scared instead of being the badass that she should be. So, given all that, you got to believe Alexa Bliss is going on top here.
Oh, as she should. The most appealing character right now that is not Charlotte Flair.
How is she compete? I just don't know.
How is
By
she?
the way, she looked, it was good to see her in the ring.
I know.
Monday night against Nia Jax.
After having to dealing with the passing of her pet.
Well,
pig.
and she hasn't wrestled a match in.
Oh, wow.
I think they said 4 or 5 months.
Something like that. Yeah.
I think she wrestled Nikki Cross when she was still paired up with Bray Wyatt.
Maybe. I thought she just stood there.
But
I mean, it's on par with the rest of the character, which I'm okay with because, you know, the one thing that people always complain about WWE is where is the consistency? And obviously, you know, there was the big thing that we didn't get to talk about from last week was the big WWE releases, you know. And it's like you just had Braun Strowman attack, or I'm sorry, not Braun, but you had, who attacked Big E?
Aleister Black.
Okay, right. He just attacked Big E. Well, now there's not going to be a conclusion to that storyline.
Right, because
but
Aleister Black is no more.
Exactly. But this is the one storyline that's in the upper tier of storyline that's getting a lot of attention that actually does go each and every week that kind of makes sense.
I guess, I'm just not a fan. It's now, I will say this, and it's not that I'm asking for a return or something, but I really am wondering what happened to Bray Wyatt. Because, you know, WrestleMania happened. We had a Firefly Funhouse on SmackDown, I think that the week following. We haven't seen him since.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen, like, nothing.
One iota. I thought you were going to go with iota.
He's like in, you know, the no man's land with Keith Lee.
Well, I mean, if you read the social media and internet stuff, they were saying that he was stepping back to deal with some mental health issues, which, you know, if that's the case, I understand.
If that's the case, then all the best to him. Absolutely.
But, I mean, that could be the only thing I can think of. There was no mention of any injuries, you know, that he may have been dealing with or anything with creative. It seems that, if anything, it kind of still kind of going his way and will still be set up for when he does, you know, eventually return, where he can return strong, especially.
Unless they decide to release him. Which, apparently, anybody can be released.
There's a second round of cuts. That's the rumor,
allegedly.
Right?
If you believe the rumor and innuendo. I tell you what, because you and I did not talk about this. So what was it? 2 weeks ago?
Yeah,
we
just
saw
right after the
Braun
show.
Strowman, Aleister Black, Lana. Who else? There were six big ones. Braun Strowman, Aleister Black, Lana, Santana Garrett was, you know, she was in NXT. I think they were talking about bringing her up to SmackDown.
Oh, and obviously,
Buddy Murphy, and who?
No, it was not Andrade. That was beforehand.
No, that was beforehand.
No, I can't think of anybody else.
I'm trying to think of the other one.
No disrespect if I can't remember.
No, and
it's been a while now.
Me.
But, you know,
I'll be honest, I have kind of turned the corner on this. Look, I hate that they lost their jobs. You know, hopefully they have been smart with their money. We do know they, you know, especially Braun and Tommy End, now formerly known as Aleister Black, and I would think Buddy Murphy are going to end up somewhere.
If they
I know
want to.
Mark Henry has hinted that there is interest from AEW for. I don't know what I don't know what you call him now. He's not Braun Strowman. Adam Scherr, I think, is his real name. I think Buddy Murphy would be fantastic in New Japan. He's got that moveset that would do him well, and especially now with the New Japan Strong in LA.
Yeah, it really all just depends on what their aspirations are, career-wise, and who's going to pay them the money that they might demand. Because I'm pretty sure if they were smart, they're walking away with some pretty sweet deals.
Oh,
you know? But I wanted to pose this question to our listeners. So the ones that are listening live, maybe on the radio the next day, is like, you know, tweet us at SGTW ATX. If AEW were to pick up any of these free agents that were released, who would you want to see be the first 3 signed?
Okay. All right. Should AEW sign 3 of them? Because, you know, AEW's roster is starting to look a little expanded. I'm not going to say bloated yet, but they've definitely got some people.
Since we're on the horn, let me pose it to you this way. We don't need another running back on the Dallas Cowboys that's not Zeke Elliott. However, if there's one like, let's say Travis Henry becomes available,
Mm-hmm.
is there a reason not to sign him?
Interesting.
Especially
Interesting dilemma.
if he's already been released
Right.
and he says that he wants to go there
I mean,
and he's willing to negotiate.
yeah. I mean, I think there's
There's room for talent.
Yes.
And that's what this is a business at the end of the day.
It is.
And like I mentioned before on this show many times, wasn't a big fan of the Braun Strowman character. That was just me.
Yeah.
I know there was a lot of people that really liked him. And I'm not saying I dislike him as a person. I just said as the character wasn't entertaining for me. But you look at the intangibles, the size, the fact that he has been on WWE television already, so he has some name recognition, or at least
Former
the look.
Universal Champion.
Exactly. Plus, he already has the WWE system down, so like he can talk on camera.
Yes.
Especially, it looks like he gets better if you let him just kind of do his own thing.
Yes.
And you can't teach his presence. The guy is a legit big guy.
Right.
That's something that the AEW roster has been lacking. They have some guys with size, but
Lance Archer mentioned as much when we talked to him, a couple weeks ago. He mentioned that that was one of the knocks on AEW, that they didn't have a lot of big guys now. So here's a perfect big guy.
This is the guy that
to add to Lance and Miro and some of the others that are there.
I would be interested to see how he would fare there with less strings attached to how he has to be creatively as that guy. But, he does have some of that indie heat on him because he made fun of the indie wrestlers. So it'd be a really interesting story for him to go there and kind of have to humble himself to kind of like that indie level. Like, hey, you're working, with guys that were just in the indies beforehand. And, now you know how difficult this business can be.
An interesting one is Lana, a.k.a. CJ Perry.
Ooh, yeah.
Because I have seen the rumors that maybe she's not interested in going back to wrestling.
And that's understandable.
And apparently she does make a pretty penny being an influencer.
Yeah. Hey,
I
can't knock it.
if you can make some money without taking all those bumps. I mean, let's put it this way. Do you think we would see her say, pair up with Miro?
I thought you were going to say.
Let's go, let's keep the.
I thought you were going to say, do you think that means we have to do the SGTW ATX bikini shoot calendar? And I was like, Stu, I don't know if we'll sell as much as Lana would, but I mean, if our fans are going to buy it, I will do it.
Only if Lana's part of it.
Man, I'm pretty sure
Mickey
we would
James
sell some.
and a few others. So
maybe we do it for charity.
Yes.
Would you bear your top for charity, Stu? I said for charity.
I would keep
got a
my
hairy
clothes
chest.
on for charity. Let's put it that way. So yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see where these folks end up. Santana Garrett is an interesting one because she's a former NWA Women's World Champion. She was a big star in women wrestling, and I could see her going to the NWA because Camille's going to need new
opponents.
contenders. Yeah. Congratulations, Camille, winning the NWA Women's World Championship from Serena Deeb. So let's get with the rest of the card. We got like a few minutes.
Oh man, but you didn't give me the third person that you want to see go.
Go into AEW?
Yeah. I was just assuming that, Braun we agreed on. I thought you said Lana because I still think it would be good to see her show up.
Yeah, sure. Have her come out with Miro.
So would it be more like Aleister Black or would it be like more like Buddy Murphy? Like which one would be the better fit there?
I think you couldn't go wrong with either one of them.
So you're saying that you want to make them a tag team?
No, let's not make them a tag team. Either Tommy End or Buddy Murphy. I don't even know if
is that his real name?
Tommy End. That's
yeah,
Aleister Black.
I know that's his real name.
I don't know. I'm not that familiar with Buddy Murphy's indie work. Right?
Yeah,
I don't think they go wrong with either one of them. So
it's a push, huh?
Yeah, and I forget. I cannot remember the sixth person that got cut, but oh well.
It's hot.
Let's get back to the card. So we have all 4 top singles titles being defended. Rhea Ripley will defend the Raw Women's Championship against Charlotte Flair. Do we see Charlotte this will be the 14th?
How many did her dad win? 16?
16 officially.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see her winning here.
Yeah,
And then
I hate
Rhea
to
winning
see
back
it.
at SummerSlam.
I hate to see it, but yeah, it's possible. I think so. Bianca Belair. They've put this as Bianca Belair, the SmackDown Women's Champion, against Bayley. It is not clear whether the title is on the line. Personally, I don't see why not.
For real. Like, just put it on the line.
Make it a title match. I don't think Bayley's winning. I think Bianca Belair keeps it.
I think she has to just stay hot.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. But
now,
I mean,
this is WWE.
True. But I have been enjoying Bayley's, work.
Right.
I think she's really grown as a performer.
Have her as the schmarmy heel.
Yes.
The schmarmy heel can get beat and still be a schmarmy heel. So, I say Bianca wins. So, and then the two top men's titles are both Hell in a Cell matches.
Wow.
Roman Reigns defending the Universal Championship against Rey Mysterio.
Poor Rey Mysterio. You know what's going to happen to this guy.
Good
He's going to be
God.
thrown through the cage probably multiple times.
I was listening to, who was I think it was Brian Alvarez and Mike Sempervive on Wrestling Observer Live. Is it a problem that Roman Reigns seems to be running out of viable contenders? They were saying the same thing about Karrion Kross.
Nah, it's not. There's always going to be a little bit of a lull, and that's just how wrestling is. It's just like there's no off season, so you have no choice but for it to be a little bland sometimes.
By the way, allegedly, there are plans, if you believe the rumor and innuendo, there are plans to eventually make Roman Reigns a babyface again.
Ooh, weird.
We will see. I don't know when, don't know how, but apparently that's the key.
I'm just waiting for Brock to get back.
But Roman, Roman's going to go over. Roman's going to go over.
But I've been loving this whole character work from him, this whole King of the Table.
It's fine. Yeah, it's good.
I guess the question is, when is one of the Usos really going to turn on him? Right?
Well, right now it'd be Jay.
More than
Jimmy's
likely.
Jimmy's been kind of, he's been salty already.
Yeah.
Jimmy wants to bring his brother back. Let's be the Usos, open up the Uso Penitentiary, win the tag titles, all that good stuff. So, we'll see. You got to imagine, and maybe that's kind of the seed they plant to eventually turn Roman babyface again. We'll see. And then, also in Hell in a Cell, Bobby Lashley, the almighty WWE champion, defends his title against Drew McIntyre. Does Drew McIntyre get a third title?
Ooh, that's tough. I don't think he wins it here. I think Bobby Lashley hangs on to it. He's been doing well, man.
This is one of the few times that WWE has a match where I can see either man winning.
Exactly, and that's what I like about this.
It does not happen often, especially in WWE.
No, and especially here in a pay-per-view that's
Yes.
not that important, honestly. It's just one of those middle-of-the-road ones.
I know that Lashley has mentioned, allegedly, that he wants to back away from the title picture.
Wow.
I don't know. I mean, yes, part of me says, I think I may have to go with Drew.
Man.
I think.
Because I was going to
It
say...
wouldn't surprise me. Let's put it that way.
First, I was going to tell you, if Brock came back, Bobby Lashley needs to stay the champion. Because I think every pro wrestling fan has been wanting to see that match.
Yeah.
Him versus Brock at this level of their career.
Yes.
But I can also understand if Brock came back anyways and Drew walked away as the champion, for him to have to face Brock and defeat him again to ultimately slay the beast in front of the crowd to solidify him as WWE legitimate guy that could be the champion and get it done.
And
it works either way.
And maybe they do that on Saturday, August 21st at SummerSlam, which will be held on a Saturday.
Weird.
At Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, the home of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Man, it's going to be hot.
It's going to be really hot.
But it should be a good time.
But they have made that announcement, so we will have, they're already, I think they've got 25 cities right now on their, welcome back tour. So now SummerSlam in front of fans at Allegiant Stadium, the home of the Raiders. They're in Sin City. So We're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we will talk about NXT TakeOver in your house. Plus, hey, we know where Fyter Fest is coming. We'll tell you about that next on Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the Horn. Ooh, Tommy Chompers and Timothy Thatcher.
I was
taking
gonna say
on the was it Grizzled Young Veterans?
Yeah, you know that battery thing that you saw earlier?
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's like a promo.
Yeah, it's a
vignette.
promo for somebody.
Yeah, because the next one came up and it was like 23%, so I'm pretty
Yes.
sure you'll just see it run till the end.
And
but-
apparently this diamond mine thing is opening next week.
Oh.
So we'll see who's part of that.
You know, I was reading something online where they were like NXT has already reached its peak. Do you like agree with that? Like, I'm like,
well,
I-
they're
I-
going through a lull right now.
Well, yeah, because I mean, the roster turnover. Finn Balor going to be on this roster any longer? Is Adam Cole going to be on this roster any longer? When he, legitimately deserves to be on one of the main roster spots.
Well, they've kept Adam Cole, Bebe. But all right, let's see. Let's see if I can find the releases. Oh, here we go. Ruby Riot.
Oh, that's
Ruby
man,
Riot was
yeah,
ill.
she's important. That sucks. Sorry, Ruby Riot.
Does she go to AEW or Impact
Dang.
or Ring of Honor? Ring of Honor is trying to revive their women's division.
Shoot, she could easily walk in and be champion at Ring of Honor. I mean, it depends on what she wants. So, I mean, like, if she just wants to be a champion somewhere, like, yeah, she can walk into Ring of Honor, champion, next day.
Yes.
If she wants to be, like, part of a feud near the top, maybe she has to go to AEW. But right now, the top person is a heel. I don't see her as a face, I guess.
Yeah, I do wonder about that.
Like, especially upon arrival.
Right, yeah. I could see that. Yeah.
But maybe that's because I just typecasted her as a heel. I don't
It's
know
possible.
if she maybe. I know she's worked face before
Yes.
in
well,
WWE. At that.
In WWE, yes. The Riot Squad has been face very recently.
So I think she has the range to do either or. It just really does seem like, oh man, if she wants to make a big impact, no pun intended, it would be ROH. Impact, again, they have a really strong scene. I feel like she would kind of just get lost in the shuffle right now.
They do have a strong women's division. They've, it's crazy how strong their women's division has been over the years. So
Yeah, and then like the NWA
it'll work out.
date,
NWA could do something.
does she have the look that Billy will accept? I know he
That
said
would
that
be
he
interesting.
has that more. He wants that more old school,
Yeah.
approach.
Yeah, so that'd be interesting.
But I mean, you think about performers in the old NWA, like what was his name? Handsome Johnny Valiant.
Yes.
But when he was like the Boogie Woogie Man, he had the tattoos and stuff. He was a little outlandish. So I figured, the NWA, the Southern.
Boogie Woogie Man was Jimmy Valiant.
Yeah.
There's Johnny and Jimmy.
Oh well, I meant Jimmy.
Yeah.
My bad.
So, yeah. I mean, it's possible. I could definitely see her in AEW. I could definitely see her in Impact. Something tells me Impact.
Yeah, you thinking Impact? I still
But
think
we'll
ROH.
see. It would not surprise me there either. Or maybe she goes to ROH first and then,
Does she ever work Japan? It's okay.
I don't know.
I was like, it's okay if you don't know.
I'll have to
don't know,
look.
obviously.
That would be go to Stardom or
I leave that to the people that know more that are watching, because there's somebody out
Tokyo
there. that's-
Joshi.
Yeah, like there's somebody that definitely knows more about it than we do.
Yeah,
That's fine.
so.
I understand.
All right, let's do number 2. We go mute so we don't get in trouble. Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the Horn. Stu Myrick, Justin the Smash Simmons. The man formerly known as Eli Drake, now L.A. Knight, has a new belt.
Yeah.
The $1 Million Championship has made its triumphant return. I'm gonna call him Eli Drake, or I'll call him L.A. Drake. L.A. Knight defeats Cameron Grimes in a ladder match and is presented the $1 Million Championship by the Hall of Famer, $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. And then Knight decides to pummel the $1 Million Man.
Yeah.
And Cameron Grimes came out to help. So we know that circle will not end.
I'm cool with it, though. I've liked the
Let's-
storyline.
Let's do it.
Yeah, and
Anytime you can involve Ted DiBiase, who I have some of the utmost respect for all of his years wrestling, all the way back to the days of that Dirty Rat Pack,
in his one glove.
in his one glove with the loaded glove, yes. So yeah,
But it was a good storyline. The story, I'm glad to see the story continuing. But, anytime you can put L.A. Knight or the former Eli Drake as a heel, I think that's when he does his best work. So that was a great switch. And you put a guy that's new to your roster in a great position to succeed now because you're going to utilize his best assets, which means as a heel, you get to talk more and you get to say better things.
I have always enjoyed L.A. Drake. See,
it
there
works.
we go. L.A. Knight, Eli Drake, because of his mic skills. I think he has some of the best mic skills in wrestling.
Yeah.
Do you think there's something missing from him?
It was always size.
Size, okay.
I know that
and
Daniel Bryan.
he's not the biggest guy. You're right.
I know Daniel Bryan, you can point to Mysterio and Daniel
Right.
Bryan, and you'll be like, I see, size doesn't matter. I go, I understand that, but you have to remember those guys are once in a generational talent.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that LA Knight can't get there. At some point, maybe the universe lines up for him.
Right.
And it might be NXT. I'm not sure it will be the main roster anytime soon. But, those guys were just once in a generation. The stars lined up in their favor, and they just happened to be shorter stature.
We did not have any titles change hands. What would you say? Did you see TakeOver? What would you think the match of the night was?
I mean, that's really tough to say because I have to admit this was probably one of their least impressive takeovers.
Right, I would go with that.
If we're being,
I mean, it was still good. It just wasn't.
Yeah, I mean they all worked hard, but it was just lacking a bit of that flair. But I mean, obviously the main event just kind of captivated me because you were just like, oh, okay, they're going to solidify him as being the champion. How are they going to do it? And they proved that he's going to be a strong champion.
Have they made him too strong?
No.
Kind of like what we were talking about with Roman Reigns. I mean, that's and that's where that kind of spurs on. You had Karrion Kross basically destroy his four competitors.
Yeah, your whole top tier of competitors.
So now it's kind of like, okay, who's next?
But
now it's NXT, so you always got people coming up.
Yeah.
From the Performance Center.
Or you might have somebody going down.
Or you may have somebody going down. So,
but I'm okay with this because maybe I grew up in a generation where we played Street Fighter all the time, and the final boss was just always this unbeatable, hulking giant that you were just going to have to waste quarters on until you got good enough to beat them. So seeing this real dominant force kind of hits a nostalgia nerve with me, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I get that.
And it's like, you want this guy to be a legit badass? Well, he just showed you. He is the legit badass of the roster. Now who's next?
I thought the 6-man match was pretty fun. I think it seemed like Legado del Fantasma did not get quite as much shine. It felt like they got beaten. It wasn't like dominated, but it was pretty clear.
But it was pretty clearly one-sided.
And I'm always happy for MSK. They're our boys.
Well, they're the champions too, and I guess that's just
give them all the spicy ketchup they want. So,
did you hear that he wanted? I saw it on social media that he was asking for spinner belts. They wanted spinner tag team belts.
Who was asking? Was it? And I forget.
Yeah, I can't remember their WWE names.
Was it Dez or was it Zach?
No, it was Zach.
Zach?
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me. Actually, it does surprise me that Dez didn't ask for him.
No, he asked that for him, and
Hey,
Dez. He
why
was like,
not?
"Can you guys get us these spinner belts?"
Why not? But anyway, congratulations to them. Interesting end to TakeOver. You had William Regal walking out.
Yeah.
They stop him, ask him, what they thought, and he's very sullen, talking about, he hasn't seen such bedlam in his 7 years. It's madness. And he said maybe it's time for a change. So, of course, that got the internet wrestling community spinning. Now, in probably the worst-kept secret, WWE actually reversed one of their releases.
Oh, that's right.
And brought back Samoa Joe.
Yeah, of course. Who was doing fine at the desk already.
So you open up NXT on Tuesday night. William Regal's in the ring. He's giving his little speech, his little monologue. Sounds like he's going to, and he even says somewhere in there that he thinks it's time for someone else to be a general manager. Karrion Kross and Scarlett come out, the NXT champion. They're basically egging William Regal on to go ahead and quit. Then you hear Samoa Joe's music, and here comes Samoa Joe, and the crowd there at the Capitol Wrestling Center, they are loving it. The Joe chants are happening, everything. So Joe comes in. William Regal basically says, "Look, I think it's time for me to step aside. I want you to be the new general manager of NXT." Joe says no, but he has a counter proposal. Basically, what it boils down to is Samoa Joe is now, William Regal is still the GM of NXT. Samoa Joe is now, for lack of a better term, an enforcer.
Oh, I was just going to call him like the commissioner.
He is.
He's like the second in command.
William Regal said, told him two things. Number one, you are not a competitor. Number two, you cannot touch the wrestlers, ... unless provoked.
Yeah, it's kind of like when Steve Austin.
So sure enough, we go backstage. Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly are battling each other. They got security, and William Regal's trying to separate them. Says, "Hey, you two are going to fight in an unsanctioned match at Great American Bash." And apparently they go at it again. Samoa Joe steps in, puts Adam Cole in the Cobra Clutch, or the Coquina Clutch, and knocks him out. So, hey, Samoa Joe already effective on night one.
Now, I have to ask you, because you are our king of kayfabe on this show, can a manager force a wrestler to compete in a non-sanctioned match because it's non-sanctioned?
That's a good question.
Because every time we've had a storyline for a non-sanctioned match that I can recall is that it's so vicious that the company won't put them against each other, but if they want to compete so bad, that they'll put them in that situation because they won't sanction it. But this time he's commanding them.
Well, kind of. I mean, I
to
think
have
it was
this
kind of
match.
one of those things. I mean, Kyle was all for it, and I think it's kind of one of those things.
Does that break the rule of kayfabe?
I don't know. I think we're going too far down the rabbit hole, but it's a valid question.
It's a valid question.
It is a valid question. By the way, speaking of the Great American Bash, NXT will bring us the Great American Bash Tuesday, July 6th. It will be on USA, so instead of just regular NXT, we will have the Great American Bash. They have announced it will be Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole in an unsanctioned match.
This have this little retro TBS throwback vibe to it, huh? Being for free on just regular television.
Feels a little Clash of Champions. Well, AEW's going to do the same thing with Fyter Fest.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, that's going to be here.
I know. I
So
was already looking at the
so
schedule.
They have announced AEW, the first live event in front of fans in Miami will be, I think they're calling it the Road Rager.
Something like that.
And then the next two, which will be July 14th here in the Austin area at the HEB Center in Cedar Park, and July 21st at the Colwell Center in Garland in the DFW Metroplex, will be nights 1 and 2 of Fyter Fest.
Yeah, that's
So
so
we
cool.
get Fyter Fest in the Lone Star State. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And they're going to put on some good stuff there.
I mean, are you so diehard that you're going to try to make both shows?
Oh, yes.
You're gonna, like, no hesitation. No hesitation from this man, y'all.
That's happening. I think I may find a way. I need to talk to Dustin. I want to do something. Do like, ride with him to Garland and just record like stories. I think we may try to do that. We'll see what happens. By the way, speaking of AEW, congratulations to former champion Jon Moxley and his lovely Renee Paquette on the birth of their first child,
their little
daughter.
baguette.
The little baguette. So Renee has announced she is going to take the next several weeks off of her Oral Sessions podcast. I believe John is going to host a week.
Interesting.
I gotta check that one out. Good, God only knows what he's going to talk about. But anyway, so congratulations to the proud parents.
Yeah.
A daughter. Can you imagine when she becomes a teenager? Can you imagine the teenage boy that goes to try to, court her and has to face Jon Moxley?
Also dating a wrestler daughter and not being another wrestler. It seems kind of daunting.
Yes. We're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we'll let you know what's happening in independent wrestling around the area, plus a couple other news and notes. You're listening to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, and you're listening to The Horn, where Austin talks wrestling. Throat was getting dry. Oh, yes, Tommy Chompers and Timothy Thatcher twisting that poor young man 10 ways to Sunday. I mean, they had him on both ends. Look at that face. Timothy Thatcher and Ciampa. Faces only a mother could love. We think.
I was like, that hasn't been.
What is?
Hasn't been proven yet.
All right. So it sounds like, at least the first night of Samoa Joe and William Regal's administration has been a success. So there we go. Way to go, Samoa Joe.
Was that the last match of the night?
That was it. We are done with
Really?
NXT
Ended
for this evening.
And on a tag team match.
Yeah.
Interesting.
How about that?
I was wondering when we were going to find out what the battery led to.
Oh, I'm sure that's coming.
It was only at 28%. It doesn't take a whole week to fill up their.
Well, maybe if you have a
their
really
charge.
old iPhone.
Even then.
Forgive me, I gotta wet my whistle. By the way, hello, Eric Burns. Good to see you there in the chat.
Did we cover everything that you would have covered?
Yeah, Eric, let us know if we're missing something.
Did
By
you
the way, we
agree-
will talk about something. And Eric, of all people, was the one that spurned it on.
Did you agree with who should head to AEW? Like they need to get Braun. Like that
Yeah.
should be pick one for them.
Yeah,
Out of those that
you
were
think.
released.
Samoa Joe returning to NXT. That probably screws up the plans for Slammiversary for Impact because apparently
Oh, was he supposed to go back?
he was one. Well,
Oh, he
let's
was
just
in the
say
photos,
he was in
right?
the promo prominently.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So that's okay. There are several others.
Do you think that
By
there's
the
a
way-
possibility of them still working out a deal to where he can still appear for that? Because they've already had some deals in the past,
They've done it once before,
right?
with Christian.
Yeah. So I was just like,
Why not?
I think it's just good for the business in general. But
Why
I mean, how
not?
nice do they
Maybe
want to
have
be?
him come back to announce an Impact Hall of Fame induction or something,
I mean, if there
or
needs-
have him
he needs to
inducted.
be. Yeah, I was gonna say if anybody deserves to be inducted, it's
Yeah.
him.
So
He was the only reason, besides him, AJ Styles, Kurt Angle, and a few other guys that were, some of the tag team division during that time.
Right.
That was really worth watching TNA for.
right. So, what'd you think? Did you see the video of Moose and Kenny Omega for the Impact World Championship at Daly's Place, the home of AEW?
Yeah, I saw
And
bits
the
and
Bucks
pieces.
come out, and the
Generation Me comes out.
Generation Me comes out. That's right. And then Sammy Callahan makes his.
Yeah.
We love Sammy.
I was like, I'm always a fan.
Mainly so that I don't get hit with a baseball bat.
But I like how he always tries to reinvent himself,
Yes.
you know? But
Sammy's one of the best.
But see, Moose probably had one of his better matches. He really worked really hard. You know, there were some things that I was like, oh, Moose is going to take that bump? No way. It's like, I'm like, oh, man. But, yeah, I mean, you know, it was going to be fun to watch. I mean, all the little callbacks, if you're a pro wrestling fan, all those little things made sense.
Yes.
So I don't know how long Kenny Omega gets to go on this run for. But, I mean, if you're building him to be the final boss, I mean, we asked that question during the show. Karrion Kross, Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
They've been, like, super final boss level. It kind of seems like Omega's done the same thing,
well,
not just in his own promotion, but multiple promotions.
I still say Omega loses the Impact title first.
Yeah.
I don't need, whether it's to Moose or to Sammy.
Are you tired of seeing him win so blatantly by cheating?
No, because that's the way it's supposed to happen.
Because that's one of the complaints I would see online. They're just like, you know, I want to see him
because
win,
they want, because see,
everybody wants.
And it's a generational thing. That's how Ric Flair won most of those 16 world titles. You know, I mean, the Horseman would cheat. He would cheat. You know, that's what heels do.
But see,
it's supposed to make you want to see them eventually get their comeuppance, which is why he held it 16 times.
Okay,
because that means 15 people beat him.
So don't hate me for bringing this up because I don't know if you're on deadline right now.
What's
but this was why I feel right now that Kenny as a heel in America is ineffective because people want to cheer him. Regardless of how bad he wants to be a heel.
You know, I kind of agree with you. And it goes down to the Bucks too.
Yeah, it's really hard for them to be bad guys here. To me.
They you know, they're trying to call back to what they did in Japan. The characters they did in Japan. I think the problem is that we have seen them now for so long as the, you know, Road Warrior protective, you know, baby faces where you can't turn them heel because they're so good. And
I think everybody was really...
I know what you're saying. I do.
Like when they started the company, I think everybody was really waiting for them to be thrusted into the championship picture, for them to have their title reigns, and for them to finally cheer them as their champions. And then since that wasn't the case, since they went like a...
Well, they did with the Bucks. You know, the Bucks were still baby faces when they won the titles from Hangman and Kenny.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel that reign didn't feel nowhere near as prominent as when they came back to win the titles, and now they're having this run. And like they're not good guys. It's
hard to accept them,
and it feels
I
more.
Get that.
It feels this run feels more important because like the first one was like, hey, is this really real? And like this one was like, no, this is it, and this is the one that people wanted to cheer because you know this is a real thing, but you're not going to let them.
Kenny as a heel, I can buy more. The Bucks, what they're doing, it just...
But sometimes it feels like both of them are just good guys trying to be bad guys.
Yes, especially Matt and Nick.
I feel like especially for Kenny.
And I think part of that is because they spent such a long time. You know, I always tell the story about Supercard of Honor in New Orleans. I'm standing there with Marty Scurll, of all people, and watching Matt and Nick. This was when they beat the Hardys for the Ring of Honor World titles. Hardys were about to debut at WrestleMania the next night. No, this is Orlando, excuse me. This was in Orlando, so they've been in Lakeland. Mm-hmm. And Matt and Nick spent at least 45 minutes making sure they greeted every fan that stuck around, because that was the main event of the card.
Mm-hmm.
So the show's over, lights are up, people are emptied, and the crowd that was ringside stayed ringside. And Matt and Nick made sure every one of them was greeted, got their selfie, got their autograph.
Wow.
I mean, that's what, I mean, I knew what kind of wrestlers they were.
Yeah.
I knew what kind of guys they were from the encounters that I've had with them, gotten to talk to them. I hung out backstage with them when one of the shows they did in Fort Worth at Gillies. But to watch that, it's kind of like, you don't follow baseball, but it's kind of like the pitcher who will take the time after a game and make sure he signs every ball as he's making his way back to the locker room. That impressed me more than most anything they've done. And it's kind of hard to take that and put it up with what we're seeing now, because it almost feels like you said, they're almost trying too hard to be heels, and it's just not. It's not there.
Yeah, like something's lacking, and like I get the Kenny thing too. It's like I'm okay.
I think Kenny's a little more natural as a heel.
I don't see it. I see it more like it's not like for me. And again, no disrespect or anything. It's just like I don't see it as like a conniving heel.
Right.
I don't see it as like a strong heel. I see it kind of like a weaselly heel.
Right. Which that's again.
That's what he's going for me. I just I'm okay with the fact that, because like you discussed, that generational gap of like he is like the final boss that has, for those people that play video games, unlimited assist. So he has multiple people that can come and help him at any time, regardless of what roster he may be at. So I think it works out well, because that is just another aspect of being a good heel, is that you're not going to win by a 1-2-3 or a legit submission. You're going to find a way to win no matter what it takes, and that usually takes interference. So I'm okay with that. If you're going to beat this guy for the champion, you have to beat him and his whole team.
Right. And that's the thing. Yeah, it's the Good Brothers, they've been heels a lot, but even them, because, and part of it is something that we've talked about a lot with WWE. Because you see them in other lights. You see them in other lights. So, like, Gallows and Anderson have their Talking Shop podcast with Rocky Romero. And it's fun. And it's, it's just crazy.
Well,
and they've done the Talking Shop of Manias. So, it's hard to take that and then boo them when they're interfering on behalf of Kenny. So.
I thought you were going to say, Talking Shop of Mania. I mean, even they said it was so awful. I thought that'd make it easy to boo him.
Right. So anyway, but I get what you're saying. I do, and there, to an extent, I agree. I think it's hard, and I'm not saying Kenny is. I'm saying Kenny is probably more believable than the Bucks, just because I think he's done it a little more and a little longer. It's still not.
I just think that it was easier for him to be a heel in Japan, because the way that crowd is, they're going to just respond to him as a heel. But here it's all like, oh man, you're still cool. And I'm going to like you regardless if you're the good guy or bad guy.
And I think to an extent, same way with the Bucks.
Yeah.
I think it's
that's
the same
why
way.
I think that's the only reason why it doesn't have the same feeling that you might have expected it to feel like.
All right, let's knock out this last segment. Okay. All right. Got to meet you one more time. We'll be back. Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the Horn. Stu Myrick, Justin Smash Simmons. Matt Taven, still one of my favorites. He's not only in the ring, but just always had good. I need to catch up with him soon. Mark Kruskal, I need to call you. I need to get a hold of you. Let's get Matt on the show. We haven't talked to him in a long time. We got a couple of cards happening that I could find this weekend in independent wrestling in Texas. It is the third Friday of the month, so as always, we got to start in Sherman Up in far, far, far north Texas, TakeOver Pro Wrestling presents Aloha Summer this Friday at the Sherman Elks Lodge. Bell time 8 p.m. Chandler Hopkins, the Young Gun, Tim Storm, and more. By the way, did you see Chandler Hopkins get destroyed by Lance Archer?
Yes, I
Poor
did.
Chandler.
I know.
Hopefully he'll make it to Sherman this Friday night for TakeOver Pro Wrestling. And then Hurricane Pro Wrestling presents live pro wrestling Saturday at Ford Park in Belmont. Bell time 7 p.m. Will Allday, Slice Boogie from the NWA will be there. Renee Michelle, Edgestone, and more. That's Hurricane Pro Wrestling this Saturday in Beaumont. As always, make sure you stay safe and stay well, but if you get a chance, go out and support independent wrestling whenever you can and wherever you can. This Sunday, besides Hell in a Cell, the new episode of Broken Skull Sessions, Stone Cold Steve Austin, his guest, the hardcore legend, the WWE Hall of Famer, the Professional Wrestling Hall of Famer, and friend of Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, Mick Foley.
I was going to say he is one of my favorites that we've had on this show multiple times.
Yes. Mick Foley will be part of Broken Skull
And
Sessions.
one of the reasons why we were at one of the last ever shows at the Cap City Comedy Club.
As its previous iteration.
Yes.
It has come back, apparently. He is coming back to the domain, but yes, Mick Foley. That's going to be a fun one because he and Mick have, similar roots and similar travels. So, yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, they share locker rooms almost in every federation together.
They have. So that'll be a good one. This Sunday on Peacock, Mick Foley, Mankind, Cactus Jack, Dude Love on Broken Skull Sessions. Also, of course, our honorary co-host, our AEW correspondent, the Natural, Dustin Rhodes. He is currently engaged in the second training camp for his Rhodes Wrestling Academy.
After winning his bull rope match.
That's right. That's right, because you don't bet against the Rhodes in a bull rope match.
Yeah, that's just not
Nick
gonna
Camarado. He has announced his second class showcase will premiere on YouTube, on their YouTube channel on July 24th. So looking forward to that, and I can now say, and Eric Burns, our listener that joins us on Twitch, Dustin put that on Twitter. So Eric asked if I was going to be doing commentary again, and Dustin said yes.
Nice.
And I've gotten the text. So I am proud to lend my voice once again as we get to see the newest class of the Rhodes Wrestling Academy.
Very cool.
One of which we are quite familiar with in Zach Taylor.
Yeah.
The former Inspire Pro champion. It's one of those things, if you're not always learning, you're regressing.
Yeah.
So,
especially in this industry.
Especially in pro wrestling. So he is part of this class. He will be a part of this showcase. I'm looking forward to working with him and the rest of the students. I think I saw one of the students from the first class, Chad Lennox, is also involved. So we may have some hijinks with Chad Lennox in that one. Anyway, check that out. Coming July 24th on the Rhodes Wrestling Academy YouTube channel. Their second class showcase should be a great time. And that'll do it for this week's Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. You can follow Justin the Smash Simmons on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at The Smash Simmons. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Stu Myrick. That's STEWMYRICK. You can follow the show on Twitter and Twitch at SGTWATX. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. We live stream on YouTube Tuesday nights, usually at 7:30 p.m. Central. You can also catch us Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Central on the flagship station for the Texas Longhorns. We are the Horn, 104.9 and 101.9 FM and AM 1260. You can also catch us anytime on demand by going to hornfm.com and click on the On Air tab, or by subscribing to us on your favorite podcast platform. Make sure you rate reviews while you're there. For Justin, I'm Stu. Thank you so much. Give us a little bit of your time tonight, and we will see you at the matches.
Goodbye.
so that's okay.
And
I'll fill it in with something.
Well, I mean, if you would have said I have a TikTok now too, that might have filled the time.
You have a TikTok.
I do. I just started. I think I'm going to start a new soccer show on TikTok because you only get a minute. I think I can do a whole show in a minute.
You're kind of verbose.
Nah, I understand that. But I also
the late
know-
great Paul Pryor, who used to do radio here in Austin for a very long time, of course, son of the legendary Cactus Pryor. He was a big proponent of putting it on a postcard.
Yeah.
You don't put things on a postcard.
Oh, I know what it means.
So a minute?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
I guess with soccer maybe.
But it's a new. I think I could do it with any sport.
All right.
But I think I can.
I
only
look
do
for
it
so how do they find you on TikTok?
at the Smash Lemons.
At these men keep
I-
the branding.
Yeah, I got the
right?
branding going.
Keep
I
the
can't,
branding.
I always want. I can't change that now. But I was looking at this and I was like, if I had this when I was a kid, now I see why kids were on it now. I was like, oh my gosh, like my imagination would have gone wild. You
Yeah.
can do, but like Stu, this thing has like its own, like look, like I was just messing with it earlier. Like it has like its own like things,
Ooh, nice.
but like look, like I was just trying to give like myself like a test run. Like how would I do it?
Yeah, it's got all the.
But see, like you can put your
Okay,
own,
who's the team?
That's not always going to be the case. But as we can see here, beautiful up here, somewhere
Behind you? Behind me?
behind me. See,
Okay.
like you
sure.
could see, like that's what I was talking about. Like you could put any photo behind you, and you can run with that, and you can do all these other filters. So I was
Okay.
like, if I think it's just really something that I've been trying to find the right vehicle to tell a story, but I don't want to commit to making YouTube videos because like. Honestly, like I've worked on some of those before, and it's like it sucks to put in hours and hours of work and to only get like 40 something, 80 something views.
I want to feel something. Let's record something real quick. Did you see Piper Niven on Raw?
I know that she made an appearance.
Let's record that real quick. We'll do about a minute. By the way, Monday Night Raw. So they proclaimed the return of Eva Marie.
Yes,
and she was
the
gonna take off,
evolution.
and she was going to take on Naomi.
Mm-hmm.
So they bring Naomi out. They play Eva Marie's music. And here comes Eva Marie, but she's not alone.
Nah, of course not.
And so
You kind
most of us
this.
that watch know it was Piper Niven from NXT UK. She's a great star of the British wrestling scene, and she ended up in the match with Naomi, beating Naomi. It was a little bit of a surprise because again, she's from NXT UK. I hope that's not a sign of things to come because I think people are going to get really tired of Eva Marie. I'm happy for Piper, by the way.
Yes, obviously happy to see her like on the main roster. That's awesome because the WWE does have a stigma where it usually does hire female wrestlers that do not look like Piper Niven.
Right.
And it's good to see the representation of everybody, especially since she can work, she can go.
Congratulations, Piper
But-
Niven. I hope she does well on the main roster. I hope they find a way to break her off of Eva Marie and make her a star.
But for right now, that is going to be the vehicle. But
Right.
it makes total sense, and I think you had mentioned it before a few weeks ago. Like once we saw Eva Marie, it wasn't gonna be by herself,
Right.
and that she totally was gonna have a gimmick, a la Shawn Michaels, where he didn't wrestle for a while. He would let his
Yeah.
bodyguard do the work until he had to get into the ring. And I think that's a good story to see if. And maybe that will give a chance for Eva Marie to kind of still sharpen some skills and round out some things that she might be working on. I don't know.
That may be it. We'll see.
But with the cuts,
Okay, that's good. I can work with that. But
True.
yeah, with the cuts though.
makes you wonder, like, oh, you got to prove
It's-
your worth now, right?
Well, in it's one of those things. First of all, having her move
yeah.
to the United States is interesting.
Well, that makes you seem that she'll either be there or the NXT.
Because that's
roster
one.
regardless.
Because one of the things we've always heard, Volta, the NXT United Kingdom champion, will not be a part of NXT because he doesn't want to move out of Europe.
Understandable.
So,
Interesting that they found a way to get Piper to Viper. I think she goes by either Piper or Viper. But get her to move to the United States.
I think it really just depends on everybody, and just like any job. I'm sure like you could have left for a job that would pay you more money with some sort of different organization, but you might have to move somewhere else, and it might pay you only X amount of money, and you probably weighed the pros and cons, and you might have been against it. Whereas maybe she wants to be, and let's admit, if you can make it to the top WWE roster, you're not just going to be seen in just England and by a few hardcore fans. No, you're seen by a whole national network in the United States.
Yes.
You're going to be known worldwide by every wrestling fan because you're on the very most important shows. And you're probably going to get some guaranteed money out of this. And maybe that's something that she deemed at this point in her career.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, yeah. I couldn't be happier for her. I have seen a little bit of her work on the British indie scene. I've seen a little bit of her work in NXT UK. She's got a wonderful presence.
Yeah.
So it was just interesting. That was kind of out of the blue.
But
of all people.
But for Walter to not want to move when he obviously would be able to cash in, like I wonder how much money he does make in Europe to where he doesn't need to come to America.
True.
Just because it's like, we understand there's some guys that say they make a great living on just doing the indie work.
Yes.
I'm like, hey, more power to you if you can be your own boss. That's got to be great. You don't have to answer anybody, and you make a living doing what you want to do. And
especially doing it where you want to do it.
Yeah, whenever you want to do it, when you feel like taking the booking,
right.
And for whoever you want to take the booking for, great. But I do also understand where if you do go to the top roster, you're going to make a lot of money, and you do have that offshoot chance. If for some reason it just works out and the right person sees you, and there's a better chance of people seeing you on that television show than NXT UK, how much bigger can you be as a celebrity?
True.
It's just another vehicle.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I hope for the best for Piper. I did find it kind of comical that she was there and Eva didn't even get in the ring.
But this is the part of the evolution, Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, sure.
But keep the same body,
Like I said, I just think fans are gonna, if she doesn't see the ring, fans are gonna turn against her for the wrong reason. Like kind of like her first run.
Yeah.
Except this time it's not because of bad work; it's because of no work.
Yeah.
Now, if that benefits Piper to the point where fans take to her, that's great. But anyway, we'll see. I don't know. That's going to do it for this week on the stream. Thank you for joining us. We will be back next week, 7:30 p.m. Central. Do the normal show, have all the normal fun. But for now, for Justin,